In this week's EMOM Aesthetic, we're growing a huge back. 5 exercises that you need to implement right now to grow a big, strong, athletic back, and 1 free resource in the description right now to get strong, lean, and athletic without spending 60 to 90 minutes in the gym. Let's go. In this week's EMOM Aesthetic, we're getting strong, lean, and athletic and growing a jack back. We've got 5 big movements, starting it off with the deadlift. Now, the interesting thing about a deadlift, it can be used as a leg exercise, can also be used as a back exercise. It really depends upon where you're at in a cycle or what your goals are. For me, I'm looking to get strong, lean, and athletic. That's the big goals of EMOM Aesthetics. And if you're interested in that, get in the description right now. We have a brand new free resource for you. You click it, you download it, it shows up in your email, you're gonna get strong, lean, and athletic, and we've got 7 days of free workouts inside it. I wanna provide a little bit of insight into why I would be doing a deadlift as a part of my back day versus a deadlift that I would be doing as part of a leg day. So me personally this week, I'm actually going to be on the road. I'm gonna be traveling a little bit. So I'm thinking about as much of a full body workout as I can while still focusing on upper body pulling. So when we think about the ways that we can grow our back, we've got horizontal pulling. Most of the time that shows up in a row. We've got vertical pulling. That's how we talk about pull-ups, maybe some pull downs if you're in a gym. Today my gym is much more of a functional fitness facility looking gym. I don't have any seated cable rows. I don't have any cables at all. So I have to find ways to get a lot of my back training in across multiple different modalities. Now I choose the deadlift typically on a back day, and I pair it with some sort of banded movement so that I'm really working on a lot of posture. So when I think about back training, I'm really thinking about the back extensors and my ability to keep and maintain a really good posture, staying over the bar, as that translates into any Olympic lifting, speed, power movements, and just back health. Nobody wants to get hurt and have a low back issue. The extensors, the things that run all the way down our back that keep us in a good position so that when we use a big weight, we're not rounding and putting our body in a bad position. Because I'm gonna be on the road this week, I'm thinking more full body than just upper body pull. That's why I'm using the deadlift to start things off. That is why I'm going to be going into a unilateral row after, and then I'm going to be getting into my upper body pulling, the vertical piece, in which we're gonna be going pull-ups and pull downs with a band at a little bit higher repetitions. So, deadlifts, unilateral rows with a kettlebell, then we're going pull-ups, and then we're going straight into some banded pull downs. The very first exercise we're going to be doing today is going to be banded deadlifts. So I love the banded variation of this for a couple reasons. One, as we get set up, we can take this band, drape it over the bar, just making sure that it's equidistant, and then the bands come into the middle here. Now, the thing about accommodating resistance is that as we add an additional implement, it changes the stimulus to the point that whether you're using chains or bands or whatever you decide to use, as you go and get to a more difficult portion of the lift becomes heavier. So the further you stretch this band or a rubber band, the more tension goes onto the band. Therefore, if we're standing on it here and we're deadlifting it to our waist, the further we pull the bar away from our feet or the anchor point of the band, the more tension we're gonna feel and the heavier it's going to be. Now for me personally, I don't ever really have a problem getting the bar from my knees up to my waist. That's the strong point of the lift for me. I struggle getting the bar at maximal weight off the ground. That's my weakness. But when I'm starting to think about hypertrophy, I don't really want to focus on just the weak parts of my lift. And I want there to be equal tension throughout. So if the easy part is from here to here and the hard part is from the ground to my knee, I can keep the hard part and then make the easy part harder. That is why I enjoy having the band here, because If this is typically easier, now I can add the band, and now this is incredibly hard. I also think about this in the form of back training because I usually will get a little lazy because it's easier from my knee to my hip. And what that laziness means is that I will pull it to here and this kind of lazily finish with my back. When I add the band and I add additional tension from the knee to the hip, now I have to stay focused. I have to stay in a really good pulling position, and I have to really focus on keeping my back angle nice and tight, keeping my core engaged, and keeping that posture. So as we get set up, it's the exact same deadlift setup we would normally have, except as we pull past the waist, that tension gets very aggressive. So that's going to be the minute number 1. Minute number 2 is going to be our kettlebell unilateral rows. And what I love to do with the unilateral rows is go in an alternating format. So we're still going unilateral, but instead of going unilateral, we're going to go alternating. So we're going to go 1, set it down, 2, set it down. My goal is to get 6 on each side. We're going to go 12 total reps in that minute. So minute 1, 8 deads here, and 2 1/4 plus the purple band. Immediately into minute 2, we're going to go 12 total reps or 6. Now, when we're doing the alternating reps, we want to be set up with the bell directly underneath us, and we're going to be pulling straight back into that waist. If you want to have a little 1-second pause at the top, really focus on that lat engagement. One thing we start to see that people get into as they get tired is that elbow flying out wide. And typically that's because you think you're supposed to be pulling towards your chest. Think about pulling the handle towards your waist, and that will give you the actual line of action of where your lat wants to be. Keep those elbows in tight and pull. So as we come up, back to the waist, back to the waist. You almost want to think about wrapping that elbow around your body and keeping the kettlebell in tight. That's going to be our first 10-minute EMOM. We're going to go 8 pulls, 2 1/4 plus the band. Then we're going straight into 12 total, 6 on each side, unilateral alternating kettlebell. All right, so the second part of this today, we're going to be doing a lot of vertical pulling, right? So the first part, we're doing the horizontal pulling, some isometrics with the deadlift, into the rows for the horizontal piece, and now the vertical pulling. And our best option here is going to be the pull-up. Now, to think about accommodating resistance and adding this band, we want to think about the longer we stretch this band, the more tension we're going to get. So if we're doing a regular pull-up, it's equal tension throughout the entire movement. When we add this band, the further we stretch the band, the more resistance we're going to feel as this thing gets further away from the ground. So we're able to come up, and we're going to try and get 5 pull-ups with the band, maintaining that hollow body position, staying nice and tight throughout the movement. When we get done with that, we're going to go into a more isolated movement on the lat with the lat pull or with the stiff arm pull down. So you can wrap that band around your hand or your wrist for some additional support, stepping it back, slight hinge, and instead of bringing the bands to us, we're going to keep the elbows straight and pull down to the waist where we're getting a good contraction on the lat without that elbow bend. So we're isolating the lat, a little bit of tricep as we pull down, and make sure you get into the description. There's a free resource, 7 days of workouts. The little one's hanging out, getting strong with us, but make sure, get into the description, free resources, 7 days of workouts. We'll see you guys next week.